I talked about us delineating the Napster launch. Okay, so the launch of Napster was the 1st of June, 1999. So it launched during Gemini season, which is great. You know, the duality of things like peer-to-peer file sharing. You see that duality, the peer-to-peer file sharing. So I thought that in itself was ironic. Second thing I thought, look at that energetic degree of Chiron and Scorpio. Scorpio is like other people's assets. This is also launched during a Mars retrograde. Launching during a Mars retrograde is a business astrology no-no. You don't want to launch projects and expect them to be successful when you launch during a Mars retrograde. Mars retrogrades every 2 years, and it is a long stint. But the thing is during a Mars retrograde, you're not supposed to launch anything. You're supposed to focus on how you're going to launch things, work on the back end office stuff, work out the kinks of how things aren't working for you. It's very much a reflective moment like any other retrograde season is. This is why I named my podcast Rhythms and Retrogrades, because we are talking about cycles and rhythms of life and seeing the patterns and like rhythms and retrogrades and the pop culture of things. It all just kind of literally, this all kind of flowed out of me as soon as Mars retrograde was ending this year, ironically. So I see Mars retrograde is opposing Jupiter, but not only is it opposing Jupiter, and we have Mars in Libra. Mars does not do the best in Libra, but it's not to say that it's a bad it's not a bad aspect, so to say. But what I'm more thrown by anything is this T-square. So we have Mars retrograde in Libra opposing Jupiter in Aries, both of them squaring Venus in Cancer. Okay, Venus being the focal point of a T-square. So this is like your values, your worth. You cannot make this shit up. This is crazy. So this is the material. Venus likes the material plane. Remember, Venus rules over Taurus, Earth, material sign. What do we have over here in Taurus right now? Saturn. What's the moon in? Capricorn, which it is trining Saturn and Taurus right now. So there are hard lessons being learned right now in this event chart. And it's so ironic to me. You also still have like right here, Uranus and Neptune are up here in Aquarius. And Saturn in Taurus is squaring Uranus in Aquarius. So that is a long-term transit. I'm curious to see how long this square lasted and if the company lasted as long as the square did. This is something I may go back and look up and see how long that square stayed that way, because if I look down, I don't know if I can pull that. I don't know if I can move my background. It's Mars and Uranus. Uranus. I can't see it because my recording button. But yeah. So okay, next. Mars trine Uranus. Mercury trine. Excuse me. Mercury in Gemini trines Uranus and Aquarius. And then we also have Mercury trine Mars in Libra. So those are two air trines. Both of them include Mercury, but we don't have, like, in the chart it looks as if we have a grand air trine. And some astrologers would call this a grand air trine. We have 16 degrees, 19 degrees, and 24 degrees. And they are within orb of one another. So that grand air trine in itself, like technology, movement. And Mercury and Mars are trining each other. We have Mercury at 19 degrees Gemini and Mars retrograde at 24 degrees Libra. That's an air trine. So we have a lot of air trines in the chart, which means technological booms, right? Especially when you're looking at something like an event rather than a person's chart. Air signs technology, it's information, it's thought processes. It's like Mercury is literally ruled by Gemini, but it actually does better in Virgo, because Virgo is like grounded Earth, where like Mercury and Gemini is like everywhere. That's why like people who have Gemini placements or Mercury and Gemini, they can talk. But people who have Mercury and Virgo, they process things differently. They process things better. Pluto's opposing the sun, so this this Napster's, the sun is your will, it's your identity, it's your vitality, right? So this company's will, its vitality, its life force, so to speak, is opposing Pluto. So there's gonna be rapid change. There's gonna be not necessarily rapid change. I say rapid because we knew how fast this happened, because we're looking back at it retrospectively. But there's going to be inevitability. Like, Pluto is going to happen. It's transformation. It's inevitable. So, like, the fact that the sun is opposing Pluto in this chart does not surprise me at all. There's inevitability here, especially how close Pluto is in Sagittarius over here by the Chiron at the anaretic degree of Scorpio. That is crazy to me. Let me move myself. So, also, the North Node right here is being squared by Saturn, okay? So we have the North Node in Leo and Saturn squaring. No, it's not an exact square, but, you know, that in itself is like kind of crazy, because if you think about it, the North Node's here at 14 degrees 51 minutes. That means the South Node is 14 degrees 51 minutes. That means the South Node is conjunct Uranus in this chart. The South Node's just not on this particular chart. I didn't, list it as, I tried to make the chart as simple as possible and only include the 10 luminaries plus Chiron. We also have the moon trining Saturn. So the moon, the Capricorn moon, is trining Saturn in Taurus. Now, I find this very ironic. Saturn is trying to teach you a lesson. Ironically, the North Node is in Leo. Leo is all about putting on a show. They're being the center of attention, the stage. So, yes, musicians kind of fall into this category. So, it's weird that the North Node's even in Leo. What else do we have? There's an air trine. When we talk about air trine, it's like high thought energy and technology. There's an air trine between Mercury and Uranus. This is lots of internet activity and bartering and sharing. Mercury rules bartering, selling, sharing, your neighbors, and then Uranus is like the internet and like the higher octave of Mercury. So the fact that they're trining each other is like kind of mind-blowing. And then we also have Mercury trining Mars retrograde. So Mars retrograde is in Libra right there, and Mercury is trining it at 19 degrees. It's a 5 degree orb. So yes, it's still trine. So there's a lot of squares and trines in this chart. We have Venus is trining that Chiron. So what are your values? How do you value this music, quote unquote, this file? You're not physically holding it in your hand anymore. Now it's just a file. Now it's a file that we can share back and forth, and we can burn onto a CD and have our own mixtape. Okay? Comment down below if I missed anything, if you want to talk about anything. What was do you remember your first song you downloaded out of Napster? Did you use Napster? Were you a little bit later and used Kazaa or LimeWire? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. If you see any aspects I missed, or you want to talk about any of this more, comment down below. Let's talk about it.